Can I have your attention? These beaches are officially closing for today. That means absolutely no more swimming.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Kachmar. This is Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Kachmar. Today's date is actually March the 1st, 2024 AD. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know when the last time we did a show, maybe a couple of weeks ago, but we are here. I have Tyler here with me.
What up? We're back.
Tyler. Yeah.
Never went anywhere.
Yeah. Why we delayed? What's going on here?
No, we're good. This is just, I'm trying to.
Okay.
So we're still getting used to how to use an Instagram on this.
Right.
Instagram
So
Live.
what hopefully everything's coming out. But anyway, this is a video podcast really dedicated to lifeguard and lifeguarding and all that are associated with lifeguards. So we have a great show today. We're going to talk about a few things. But one of the things, it's not exactly lifeguard related, but I want to talk about this couple who was allegedly killed in the Caribbean. I do sailing, quite a bit of sailing down in Tortola and the British Virgin Islands and down in Grenada and St. Vincent's. I've been all up and down there. And there was this tragedy that occurred. And so we want to just talk about this. I'll give you a setup for it. This a couple, I should say, were from Virginia, and they sailed down. They sailed down to Grenada, which is all the way at the end of the Caribbean chain. It's very closer to South America and Aruba, down that way. And we heard about, people know about Grenada from the medical school there, and when we had to send troops down there. So here's a picture of them. Can you go to my iPad? Yeah. Yep. So this is the couple, and they were down sailing. They're from Virginia, and they I guess they go in the summertime in Virginia, and they sail down to the islands, and they were down in Grenada. Again, Grenada is below. It's closer to Aruba and also Venezuela, so it's off that coast. And St. Vincent's and the Grenadines is really close. So what happened was, the story is that. Read this here. A Virginia couple missing in the Caribbean for more than a week were probably killed by 3 escaped prisoners who hijacked their catamaran in Grenada and threw the pair overboard as they sailed to St. Vincent's and the Grenadines, authorities say. So this is the what's up? Oh yeah. But I just want to read this first. So we have some talking points here too, and. So the Americans, they failed killed. What happened was these people there was 3 individuals who were arrested and in jail in Grenada, and they supposedly escaped. And I guess they were looking for a way out, and they saw this couple on the dock. What I've read and what I've seen is that they went to lunch. This was on a Sunday. Probably went to church in the morning, and then they went to lunch, and they were walking back to their boat, and I guess they were jumped. Sounds like these guys killed them, sailed the boat about 90 miles northeast to St. Vincent's. And
St. Vincent?
St. Vincent's and the Grenadines. Yeah, that's what they're saying, St. Vincent's. And it was about 90 miles away. And so it didn't happen. So the crime probably happened in Grenada. And then and here's a picture of the boat right here. You could see it. The name of the boat is called Simplicity. And somebody who was paddleboarding saw the boat abandoned, went over there and checked it out. And you still have me up there. And they notified the police. They found blood and everything inside. So now, actually, they caught the 3 guys. These islands are small. Mm. I mean, the only way to get around, like what these guys did, is with a boat. But the boat probably had ASI. You could track it. Somebody found it. Anyway, they arrested the guys. They did not get them yet, or for murder. I guess it's an investigation going off.
Well, apparently there's no body found.
No
bodies found.
Right. So Simplicity was moored and abandoned off the south coast of St. Vincent, and the Coast Guard down there is being involved. And so they found the guys here. I'm just reading the rest of the article. I know you have some bullet points there, but it's really sad. I sail down there all the time, and there is a GoFundMe. There's you could get on the internet. This is really shaking up the Oh, you to get off my iPad. This has really shaken up the what do you call it? The boating community. You know, there are people who get injured and hurt and robbed. There's a site. It's called Noon Site, NOON site, SITE, Noon Site. And if you want to go and look at Pietry and what what goes on and people get robbed and stuff like that, you know, it's out there. But you know, St. Vincent's been a hot spot for a lot of people getting robbed and things like that. I don't know how often this has happened. This is I don't think I say it's rare. Thank God it is, but this may be a trend. You know. And there's always been controversy whether or not you could protect yourself on a boat. A lot of these countries don't allow you to have a gun, you know, and people still use it. But this is a tragedy. So, you know, we all worry about. I go down to British Virgin Islands all the time, and there's pretty safe. You know, but I guess it could happen. You know, anybody's desperate. These guys got out of jail.
Yeah, kind of stuff can happen anywhere, right?
Yeah. It's. I guess what all we're just saying is that it's a tragedy. We our hearts go out to these people, our prayers, and you know, for me, it really hits home because I've sailed there multiple times. I sailed catamarans. I've sailed this type of boat many times, and I, you know, these people. It's a very tight knit community. So there's a lot of people are very, very upset right now.
Where is this in relation to the Virgin Islands?
So if it's way down. It's about 700-800 miles south. So it is. You have British Virgin Islands. You go east to about 90 miles to St. Martin, and then you go down and you go all the way down. You got Montserrat. You got Guadeloupe. You know, there's a lot of different islands there. Barbados, and so it goes all the way down. And Grenada is like at the bottom. It's almost the end. What's also to the east of Grenada is Tobago, and here it is. It's right there.
Okay, so
yeah, but you got to really make that really, you know, yeah. But you can see, so that map is so small, it doesn't really give you the best kind of, you know, idea. Yeah. But it's all for South America. But I've been, you know, you go all the way down. So from Puerto Rico all the way down.
So here's Grenada.
Yeah, but there's a million islands there. That map is not the best.
And then up here, right next to Puerto Rico, is the Virgin Islands. It's crazy how small they are.
They're not that small when you're there.
I mean, like when you're looking at the map, because obviously they feel huge when you're on them. But you know, because you're in. Can I zoom in? No, but I was in St. Thomas and St. John.
Right.
What was that, like 2-3 weeks ago? And, you know, like just thinking about those in relation to how big Puerto Rico is, and then you have the Dominican Republic over here. I don't know, it's just,
you know, and that's
these little, you know,
but they're not
clumps of land in the middle of the ocean.
There's millions of people, that live in the Caribbean. Puerto Rico, you know, if you look at here, Dominican Republic and Haiti, you know, you got 3 million people live there. Puerto Rico, 3 million people. St. Martin, I don't know, you know, maybe 600,000-700,000. I mean, there's millions and millions of people. Trinidad and Tobago, Guadeloupe, Martinique. There's millions, and they're big, huge communities. And these islands are bigger than you think. And but there's a lot of people. There's thousands of people who sail all around the world, not just the Caribbean. They're all around. They're in the Mediterranean.
What's the farthest you've sailed your boat?
What do you mean, like one?
Like ever sailed a boat? Because I know you.
I've done about 1,000 miles, you know. But I've never done an ocean passage, and I've never done.
So what would an ocean passage be like? Say from
weeks,
the Virgin
2 weeks.
Islands to like Point Pleasant. That's like an ocean.
Well, you know, you go from Europe. You go from say you go down, you know, from the Mediterranean. You go down to Cape Verde Islands, and then you go across.
If you were to sail from,
that's about 2 week sail.
If you were to sail from St. Thomas to Seaside Heights.
That's a long, but you don't go offshore.
So how are you? That's what I was about to ask. Are you literally keeping the shoreline in sight the entire time?
Yeah. What you do is you basically snake along. You could go just above Haiti, and Dominican Republic, then across Cuba. You go into the Bahamas. You snake around there, and then you shoot out to, you know, Florida coast. I mean, you stay close. You know, in fact, when you do sail and you get your insurance. You have the limits. So like they'll tell you can't go offshore more than 250 miles, or then your
That's
insurance.
Like part of your
Insurance, right?
Okay.
And also my Coast Guard. I'm a master. I have a 100-ton master. I could basically, if I want to take charters out, the boat could be up to 100 tons, and it's called, and it's close. So I can't.
Which is how big is a 100-ton boat? Like how long?
I mean, that sailboat there. Some of them are. Well, that's a good point. 20, 30, 40 tons.
Let's see.
I mean, that sailboat there. I mean, I've sailed on boats that were, 50 tons. Hang on.
So you're looking at catamarans, right? So let's see, how big is a 100-ton catamaran?
Well, just ask.
Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Super yacht, huh?
Yeah. So that's 100-ton. That's
here we go. Big? Here's a good.
No, that's not going to be good. Go.
No, you're not doing a shipping container.
No. I've seen boats, 30, 40, 50 tons, catamarans. It depends how much they're weighed down.
A 100-ton vessel can be 65 feet or more, depending on its construction and commercial uses.
Yeah. I believe
65 feet is big, right?
Yeah, but the catamarans that I've sailed, I have a 62-foot catamaran that I sailed multiple times. I think I want to say about 50 tons.
Now, does that have like cabins and?
Yeah, it's like a 5-star hotel. But you're asking me the question is, so my license, if I want to take charters, I can't go offshore more than 250 miles. You don't want to do that. I mean, there's a lot to say. But anyway, ocean crossing, you have to have a special kind of boat. You have to have special kind of equipment. For what we're doing, sailing around the islands, it's not that big of a deal. You still want to have safety equipment, but you could sail during the day, line of sight, go from one island to the next. Where you start getting into where it gets a little more hairy is when you got to sail at night, overnight, because you can't see. Visibility goes down, and when you go way out there's nobody to help you.
Yeah.
Like when I'm sailing in Tortola, it's like sailing in the bay. I mean, if there's a problem, there could be 1 million people help me in 2 minutes. I could put people in the dinghy, and we could take the boat right back to shore. And there'd be
no problem.
They'd be in a hotel in a half hour.
The risk is very low.
Yeah. So I mean, and there's a lot of things that can happen when you're sailing. Your engines could go. The sail could get damaged. A lot. You know what happens to a lot of people when you sail, right? You put up a certain amount of sail volume. And when the wind gets really bad or starts to get bad, you reduce the sail area. It's called reefing. And if you get caught in a really bad wind with all your sails up, that could be a hard.
Well, that'll like
you could demast. You could tail a sail. The boat could flip. Go over. You could your rigging could break. Somebody could get hurt really bad, and people do get killed. There was a couple who just got killed not too long ago, and they had a special boat made. They were very wealthy people, and the boat they had made was probably $4 or $5 million, maybe even more. And there's a thing called a jibe. Anyway, the boom came over, and there's a rope, there's a line that was attached. I think it was a traveler, maybe it was the main sheet, but it hit both of them, killed them. So you have to be really careful. The forces that are involved are great, but I've
never ridden in a vessel that was sailing, I guess. The reason I say it that way is because when we were in St. Thomas, I remember I called you in the airport when we were leaving. I was like, you got to do this catamaran business. That was the coolest thing I've ever done. It was like, it looked so much fun. So we're on this catamaran, and they take us to what was it? I forget the name of the island, but it was like this cove where there were a lot of sea turtles. We saw we saw stingrays, and it was just so cool. So we get on the boat. This is like a 3-hour round trip. So I imagine that they do probably 2 of these charters a day, right? Mm-hmm. Get on the boat. There's 3 crew members. The one guy, he gets up. He just does like a typical safety spiel, Don't hang your arms and legs out. If you have sunscreen, like spray sunscreen, spray it in your hand first because it'll get slippery. Stuff like that.
Right.
There's a captain, and then there's just like another guy there who's kind of just like getting stuff set up. We get to the spot. Another quick safety spiel. The captain is literally just hanging out the whole time, and then the other guy that was on the boat, he's just like
chilling.
The quote unquote like snorkel instructor. Yeah. So this guy just twice a day gets to hop off the boat and free dive for like an hour, and then they get on the boat, and we party on the way back. They're like serving us drinks.
Yeah, that's how it's typical.
Music,
I've been on many.
Very, very low stress work environment. But I'm taking a really long route to get to the point I wanted to make. We were supposed to sail back. They I guess lifted or lowered the sails. I guess lifted the sails.
But
there was just not enough wind. And sailing's always like really interested me. Like,
well, here's the thing. What I tell you, first of all, those trips are really great. I've been on many of them, and it's amazing. They don't turn away anybody. I've been on snorkeling cruises where there was people that they were drowning. I mean, but they have life preservers on. The people who run them they're pretty professional. They watch them. They put them in like low water. They drag them in there. But anyway,
they made me put like the vest on. And I was like, I really don't want to be wearing this right now.
But I tell you what, here's the thing about sailing, which is amazing to me. One of the most amazing things. There's a lot. I could spend hours and hours, but I don't want to bore our audience with this. But
this is exactly what our audience is into.
I tell you what.
Speaking of our audience, after we round out this discussion, if you can remind me, I have a cool story about that.
Right. Well, I want to talk about this tragedy in the whole too. But when you get a 50-ton boat moving, all right, with just sail power, no engines, and you go in maybe 8 to 10 knots, which is 10 miles, say, an hour. It's amazing. You don't hear it. All you hear is the water. The boat is moving, and you're moving quick. You go in the back of the boat, it's just like the water's like you think you have an engine on. And you don't. That's amazing. It really is.
So say you're going 8 to 10 knots under wind power. How do you stop if you need to?
Well, I mean,
do you literally just drop anchor?
No. Well, you again, you're not going to. There's no brakes. What you do is you depower the sails. You put the sails down. They'll slow down.
There's no.
Or you go right into the wind.
No, you could go stop right now.
Well, you could go.
Sailboat.
You could turn into the wind, and then you can't sail directly into the wind. That'll stop you real quick. You'll go into irons. You'll just But again, too, if you're in a big hurricane, or if you're in a 30, 40 mile an hour winds, gusting, you could have no sails up, and they'll just push that boat along. That's why people throw out like drones. There's like things to drag them. The thing, let me think about a boating, because you're talking about a very complex subject. But when you sail, or fly a plane, or for that matter, even drive a car. But more importantly, planes and boats, you really got to plan your trip. You need to know the weather. And with the weather, it has to be wind, sides of the waves. How big it is, and the current, the swells, the wind. And there's all kinds of apps now. There's one called Windy. There's one Predict Wind. And you could probably, know about 4 days out. After that, it's a crapshoot. So that's why, if you are going to do a crossing or go somewhere, like if I'm going to go from Tortola to St. Martin, it's 90 miles. It's 10, 15, 20, 10 hours, 12 hours. I'm going to pretty much know the weather. Mm-hmm. And I could plan. I could wait for a weather window where it's, accommodative. Probably not going to get too many surprises, But
you're not going to get that on transatlantic crossing.
No, you're fucked. Excuse me. You're gonna. If you're going, I mean, you could try to get some long term, but also there's things there. There's actually people have had made charts before we had all this electronics. People used to sail all across the world and log down where they are, what time it is, what time of year, right? And they would put all this together. And over, say,
currents, winds,
everything. In 100 years, people put these books together. Mm-hmm. I forget what they were called. And you would buy them, and you would say, okay, 90% of the time at this location, this time of year, this is the weather's going to be.
Yeah.
So a lot of people did that, but you could still get caught with a storm. The big equalizer is hurricanes.
Yeah.
But now you know hurricanes, and
there's obviously like a huge, I guess. Well, there was a huge presence of pirates in the Virgin Islands. So when I was down there, there's obviously a lot of museums and just like reference to that. And just I don't know, just the idea of like getting in what today would be considered like a relatively small boat and crossing the Atlantic without knowing like anything about the weather.
No,
not like, and even what you do know about the weather, like you have no idea.
No.
You're sailing for what, 2 months?
No,
How long did it take them to sail across the Atlantic?
I don't know when Columbus came across, but it's at least 2 weeks. I tell you what,
I think it's longer than that. And then there's people like like the English privateers and people just trading back and forth for hundreds of years, just like doing that over and over again. I just can't imagine like that being my life.
No, there's a story there's been tons of times where big fleets, 1,000 guys died. They were, especially the Spanish, they were down in the Caribbean, wherever they were going. And they get caught in the storms, they get thrown into the rocks, and they all die. A lot of people didn't know how to swim back in those days, but it didn't matter. You could just get thrown around. So you could go into literature and look. But anyway, I just want to just sit back with these poor people who died, and there are a lot of safety issues here, to protect yourself. But I think that I want to make people aware, no matter where you are, you need to be situationally aware. There's unfortunately, there's a lot of bad actors out there. And I think a lot of people, especially in this country, United States, are starting to realize, there is a dangerous world out there. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad people. And we're all good-hearted, and we want to accommodate people. But, unfortunately, these people probably part of they were good Christians. They were very nice people. Everybody says that. And these people took advantage of them, and maybe they started talking to them, they befriended them, who knows? But the thing is, you got to be careful. It's sad. Anyway, let's talk about. I want to shift over to this girl who got collapsed, died from a hole that collapsed over her.
Yeah.
Why don't you premise it? Then I want to talk about the backstory, because there's a very interesting backstory with regard to lifeguarding. Now, we've all had this. We've had not last summer, the summer before in New Jersey. We had an 18-year-old kid who died in a hole, right? Was it last summer at the beginning, or was the summer before that? I don't remember now. I don't remember. I think it was the summer.
It was 2 summers
yeah,
ago.
and then it seems like every 6-7 years, which is we have somebody who dies in a hole, but it's usually off season when lifeguards not around. Because I could tell you, every beach patrol, every municipality in New Jersey are hot on this. We have rules. You can't go more than 2 foot with a hole. We actively in Seaside Heights monitor this, and we get a lot of pushback from parents. They call us all kinds of names, but it saves a lot of lives. So why don't you premise and then I want to talk about the backstory to this. Okay. So go ahead.
So a 7-year-old girl named Sloan Matt. Maybe I shouldn't say her name.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's public.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
A 7-year-old girl was killed, and her brother was hospitalized and is now in critical condition after they fell into a sand hole in Fort Lauderdale.
Now, how old is this article? Do we know anything?
Yeah, this is from like the 28th. So it's,
okay, so we don't know because March 1st. All right, so maybe he's coming around. Okay.
The incident occurred at Lauderdale by the Sea, where Broward Sheriff's deputies and paramedics responded to the scene around 3:16 p.m. on Tuesday. Rescuers used shovels and support boards to dig out the children and prevent further sand collapse. Despite being taken to the hospital, the girl was pronounced dead. Witnesses reported seeing the siblings digging the hole, which was estimated to be about 5 to 6 feet deep before it collapsed.
I want to interject here.
5 to 6 feet. That's a deep hole.
Listen, I remember. 7-year-old kid. How old was the brother? I find it hard
I don't think it's clear.
I find it hard to believe that a 7-year-old could dig that deep of a hole. That's an amazing hole for a 7-year-old.
7-year-old can. 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
but I mean,
you give a kid all day, they'll dig. They'll dig a 12-foot hole.
Usually, but I have maybe. So finish the article. Whatever you want to say.
Well, that's the story in a nutshell. But I think the real question is not how is a 7-year-old able to dig that hole. It's how is a 7-year-old allowed to dig that hole. All right,
so let me make let me give you the backstory.
So how does a parent stand by while their kid's doing this? Their 7-year-old is 6 feet deep in a hole.
Right.
I mean,
So they
any reasonable parent. Well, I'm not going to say.
No, don't go down it. Don't criticize the parents right now.
Because there are.
You don't know what happened in this
situation. I don't know what happened. Well, this is what I mean. I'm giving my first impression, right, based on just this article. But yeah, I don't want to say any reasonable parent, because there is like an education thing to this, right? Like we know something.
Okay, well let me give you the backstory.
That seems obvious to us that other people don't know.
Yeah, I did a little research on this. So let me give you a little bit. I'm going to give you some what the mayor said and what the lifeguards said, and then what comments said. Just the things will bring this into a little clearer.
So were there lifeguards there?
No.
Number one.
But there are lifeguards in the area. Fort Lauderdale has
Yes.
lifeguards. So they contacted the lifeguards, and the lifeguards said this, pretty much. And I echo this. This is USLA rules, regulations, and their preamble will basically say the chances of somebody dying on the beach, dying in the water, drowning, when lifeguards are present, are extremely reduced. So the lifeguard, USLA lifeguard, Fort Lauderdale, I don't know his name, said basically if there was lifeguards on the beach, there would be a good chance, high probability that this girl would not have died. We would have picked it up, we would have stopped it, we would have seen it because we patrol. And we do that in our beaches. Every beach does that. So, I mean, could it still have happened? Absolutely. But the odds are very less likely. So now,
yeah, the odds of you losing your life on a day that you're at the beach where lifeguards are on duty,
it's substantially lower.
Is
like 1 in a million.
A fraction of a fraction of a percent.
Now, the mayor comes out and basically says, and I'm paraphrasing, well, you don't know that. You can't make that assessment, and it could have happened, lifeguards or no lifeguards. I think what the argument there, or the underlying issue, is that probably the lifeguards in the area have been saying this town should have lifeguards, and the town doesn't want to have lifeguards. And now you have this tragedy, and the mayor's saying, well, it wouldn't have made a difference. And the lifeguards will say it will make a difference. I let the public make the decisions, because, we are lifeguards. We would tell that town, get lifeguards. Get lifeguards on that beach. Or if you don't have lifeguards, then have police or first responders driving up down the beach, and it's called beach control, and modify or moderate or evaluate what's going on. People flying kites and they could hit somebody in the eye. Unsafe umbrellas, digging holes. Fires on the beach. It goes on and on and on. You should have some kind of presence. See, here's what cracks me up. And I know everybody's talking about defunding police, but if you walk down the street in Fort Lauderdale, or I bet this town, Lauderdale by the Sea, there's if you're in the street, there's probably cops around. Well, does anybody patrol the beach? Does the cops patrol the beach? And that's a lot of towns. Even here in the winter, I that's one of my pet peeves. It's part of the town. It's what you're going to have if you want to commit a crime, you want to, because no cops are on the beach, you commit the crime on the beach. My point is, they should be.
We have a pretty good presence in the
summer. Oh, we do. We do. No, I'm saying there. So
and I've even seen them down there. Now,
I just want to give you some of the. Let me give you some of the comments here. So this is pretty, interesting here. But I'm listening here, and it says this one person says the blame for rests squarely on the shoulders of parents, if they were indeed the ones supervising them on the beach. Well, that's one argument. The other thing is, here's another one saying, were the parents digging the hole? I mean, the people who died here in New Jersey 2 years ago, it was an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old girl. The parents were right there, but they didn't understand the risk. So the parents might have been here. The parents might have been even, helping dig in the hole. The problem is people don't understand the risk. That's why we're spending this time talking about it. The parents might, I doubt very much these parents were reckless or careless, but it might be a matter of not being informed. And again, how about when the parents and the people walk on the beach, why don't the town have a sign? Don't dig holes, okay? And then if they dig a hole, okay. So I think that there's a lot of things to be said here. So here it says, the tragedy could have been averted if the beach was staffed with lifeguards who are trained to warn people of potential hazards. I am sorry, but if you need a lifeguard to warn you that, for the 7-year-old to dig a hole, you're not prepared to have kids. That's bullshit. See, again.
Who said that?
That was just comments here.
Oh, I thought that was like the mayor.
No.
Wow.
These are all. Here's the thing.
Here's what I'll say, and I've said this before, and I'll like keep saying it till I die. I think the real solution for a lot, like many of the problems that like we experience on a day to day, whether it's people getting caught up in rip currents, people not looking at the flags, stuff with holes like this. If you live within 50 miles of a coast or a body of water at all, you should be taught this stuff. If you live within 50 miles of a beach, you should know that digging holes in sand is very dangerous. You should understand a rip current. It should be part of geography class. You know, it's a very simple lesson to teach a child how to recognize a rip current and how dangerous it is.
Yeah, but I tell you what, you haven't had kids yet. I've had kids. I've dealt with kids. You could teach them all day long. You still, that's, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, you could train them. You could teach and train them. But you know what? You can't count on them. They're not, their brain doesn't work that way.
You can't count on them, but you can count on, you can count on,
it'll help.
That, call it an addition to the curriculum to lower these instances. Listen, for sure.
Here's the thing. You know what? It's just like with shootings in schools. Put cops in there right now. You want to take care of it right now? Put cops in the school. You want to stop this tragedy from happening? Put lifeguards on the beach. And then everything else is icing on the cake.
Send lifeguards to schools to talk to kids.
Right.
We should.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
Shoot us an email if you can help us make that happen. Wouldn't that be cool if we started that? A program where we went around to schools and gave talks to children about this stuff.
Good luck. Listen,
what do you mean good luck? How is that?
That ain't never going to happen.
What are you poo-pooing here? This is a great idea.
It ain't never going to happen.
Please, God, someone email us or comment on this.
Nobody's going to happen.
Or text Catchmar. I'll give you his number right now. What do you mean? What are you saying?
So anyway, listen.
Wait.
Nobody.
This could be cool. This could be a good thing.
Yeah, whatever. Listen, people. There's education
Didn't you just agree that it's a good idea to add this to curriculums or at least have it be talked about?
Yeah,
in schools,
there's been a lot of talk about having people taught about in shore areas or anywhere about the dangers of the ocean and all that.
Has anyone done it?
They're trying, but the school boards they're more worried about.
We don't need money.
No.
You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying. It's a great idea, but you put the program together and you can put it on the internet.
Well, they're gonna watch our show and see some of your opinions and deem them inappropriate.
I tell you what,
school.
The biggest thing what we could do to make people right now to get the biggest bang for the buck and to be most efficient is go to your town if you don't have lifeguards and make sure that there's either lifeguards on the beach or police or first responders looking at safety, even drowning off-season. We have an issue here. We've been banging the drum for off-season, lifeguards not leaving the beach. We still had a drowning in Seaside Park. Lifeguards left at 5 o'clock. The kid drowned at 5:15. Okay, you have off-beach people drowning all the time when lifeguards not around. The beach is closed at September. They don't open up until Labor Day or sometimes 4th of July. La Valette now opens up earlier, 4th of July, because they had, preseason drownings. It takes a ridiculous amount of effort to persuade these politicians to for safety. So but the point I want to make here is that there's a riff right here. It'd be interesting to watch Lauderdale by the Sea and see what they do going forward to do what you should do is it's what do you call it? Not peer review. It's critical thinking or risk assessment. Risk assessment. What I would tell this, and you make a good point. It wraps all of this. Every town, every place should do risk assessment. So let's just say, it's Tyler Beach. Every year you have a risk assessment. We sit down. And I go, hey Tyler, or Mr. Mayor, we have a risk. We have no lifeguards here, and there's risks. We bring in an expert, and you and I will sit there. There's a risk of drowning. There's a risk of digging holes. There's a risk. So what you do is you get a risk assessment, and then you address each one. What can you do? In the local schools, you could advertise. You could maybe get a national advertising program. But you could put people on the beach. I mean, there's a lot of things could do. But my point is we're spending the time here because this is a tragedy that, in my opinion, 99% could have been prevented, at least 95%, if you had people on the beach. Now, the one in New Jersey here, there was no lifeguards on the beach. It was off season. It was in June. The lifeguards don't start. But my thing is that, let's have the cops go maybe every half hour. They might have caught it if you have a patrol. But you have to have a dedicated police officer to do that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, but I think your education to children and classes, that's good. But that needs to be on a state level, Tyler, or that meant a federal level. And I tell you what, we don't even teach kids to swim in high school. It's not a mandatory course. Is there any mandatory in high school or college now to swim? Is it a prerequisite to graduate from high school to be able to swim?
It should be.
It's not, though.
But this is the
right.
point. This is the argument.
It should have been to eat. You have to. Used to be where you had to run a mile. Now, you couldn't graduate high school unless you could run a mile.
I like this 2-shot.
Right. You couldn't graduate. I mean, I remember I went to college. My first year of college, you had to be able to run a mile. I remember, and it was like, me, I was like, that's it, a mile,
Super athlete.
No, you could run. You play soccer. You could run 5 miles in a game. It's not a super athlete. I mean, it was normal. That's just a pity. I mean, regular.
What was it? The presidential fitness.
Yeah, it was.
You remember that?
Yeah.
You had to do a mile. You had to do as many push-ups as you could in like a minute.
Yeah.
They made you stretch.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, it was all kinds of stuff. I actually had a course. It was called Marine Training. What else? Okay, so again, the bottom line here is the rift here is that the mayor is like, oh, don't worry about mayor said something to the effect it would have happened anyway, and I would say to that mayor, that's true. Both of them are right. Lifeguards, it could most likely may not have happened. Mayor says even if there was lifeguards, it could happen because it does happen even on guarded beaches. Having said that, well, listen, Lavalette.
I think that's him just like doing a bit of damage control though.
But
that's him politicking.
Yeah, but let's see if he,
because I think he knows what he's saying is BS.
Well, I don't. Let's just hope.
If he's saying if the lifeguards were here, it probably or might have happened anyway. Yeah, it might have happened, but. The odds of that happening are so much lower.
Our opinion, because we're pundits, our opinion is
punditry.
Yeah, our opinion is if you have lifeguards on the beach, or some kind of patrol, police, first responders, like I said, it can make a big difference. Mm-hmm. So we're going to push for that. All right, what else did you want to talk about? Was there something else that you had? This kid here. You want to show? Why don't we finish up because it's because you have to leave not too soon, right? Why don't
I still got like.
Do you have
45 minutes till I?
You do.
Okay. I gotta go.
Do you?
I gotta go deliver pizzas.
You gotta deliver your pizzas.
Yeah. Guys, listeners. No one here is making money.
No,
not yet.
No. So, well, I could. Do you want to? So I want to talk about another thing. Is this? Is what do you call it? Our season's starting to come up now. It's March 1st. We start. The beaches start open up around here. We get people coming down here in May. And having said that, last year June was a very bad ocean. The whole summer was really bad, and there was a lot of rescues and a lot of people got in trouble. So, talking about this, remember, you come down here in June, May and June. There's a lot of beaches don't have lifeguards. There may not be police roaming around. So don't go in the water without supervision of lifeguards. And the other thing is, I don't know why, like I said, if you're going to go in, there's no lifeguards, which we totally don't recommend. But if you are, then wear a life preserver. Wear a life preserver. Those are the things, like on a boat, I'm a Coast Guard auxiliary. You don't go out in a boat without a life preserver, especially, if it's really rough. And then when we sail, especially at night, we have life preservers on. They're actually the ones that inflate. Wear harnesses, and we clip in to the boat. There's rope, there's lines that run along the boat, so we're clipped in, so you can't fall off. You know what kills a lot of people, especially men? They'll go to the back of the boat to take a pee, and they fall off the back. And the time somebody knows that they're gone, it's too late. You're drowned already. It could be a half hour. Where's Tyler? But if you're going to go on the beach and there's no lifeguards, I don't even care if the water is, you're up to your ankles. Put a life preserver on, and then watch your kids, because at least if they fall into a hole, they get sucked out. There'd be a chance, there'd be a lot better.
They'll be floating.
They'll be floating, or take a flotation device. But a flotation device is rough too, because I see these kids take boogie boards out, and if they don't put the leash on, they get knocked off the board. The board gets sucked away by the wave, and they're out there drowning.
Well, or they panic and jump off the board and try swimming.
Right, or the cord breaks. I think that a life preserver, a well-fitted life preserver, is really good. Mm-hmm. When I was down in Florida a few years ago, and it was pretty rough ocean, my buddy was surfing, and I took boogie boards out, but I put life preservers on everybody. And it was good, because you could ride a boogie board, with a life preserver on, and still, if you get knocked off, you float.
I think I'm gonna get
especially with kids.
I think I'm gonna get into boogie boarding this summer. Me and my buddy from the pizzeria were talking about it.
It's a lot of fun.
Cause like for me,
it's hard to get out though. It's hard to get out. It's hard to get out.
Well, that is one thing, but you know, so is it for surfing. And I've been dabbling in surfing, like dabbling in surfing for the past like 10 years, and it's like kind of like a hassle.
Well, you're not good at it. That's why.
Well, yeah, and it's so much effort to get out there.
Like it's easy.
You know, I'm not flexible, so like the pop-up's really difficult for me.
Yeah,
a boogie board.
It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. You know? Here's the thing. You could use the boogie board a lot more times than surfing. You know, the waves are, especially around here.
And also, I don't know.
Just pick your day. Don't go out too big. You know,
it can be depending on the size, I guess, right? And the size of like the surfboard you're paddling out. I think you could argue that getting out on a boogie board is a bit easier on account of the fins.
I'll tell you what I would do if I was you, and I've done this.
I'm trying to get barreled on a boogie board this summer.
You could do that. What you could do though is if you want, you could take a surfboard, a nice size one, heavy one, and a big, and then just ride it on your knees. Get up on your knees.
I mean, that's what I do. That's why I say when I say
like
dabble, I rip the rescue board.
Right, our rescue boards. Yeah, a lot of people go on their knees, and it's hard. But the boogie board's good. The other thing is the handgun. It's like this little piece of plastic that I take out. You know, I used to do that a lot.
The hand plane.
Right, and the reason why I did that is I get a good workout because I could still swim with the one hand, or I would, you know, that's not bad because you could swim. You know, some people have a long cord and they put it on their ankle, and what they do is they swim out. So what you do is you swim out. Then you have that, and you go out past this break, and then you have you take the handgun. It's a piece of plastic, and you ride the wave in, and and then you go back out again. So you get a great workout, in and out, in and out, in and out. I like that.
We got some comments on the Instagram Live. I'm keeping an eye on. Jack and Nick are watching. Nick says dabble is a strong word in reference to my surfing.
Oh wow!
And Jack says, quote, dabbled in surfing. I think he's making fun of me. I'll say this to Nick. I don't have a leg to stand on with Jack. Nick, when Nick says he's going surfing, he's going body surfing. Nick does not surf, so eat that, Thomas.
Well, it's fun getting out there. I'm just, but this, but yeah, there's all kind. When I was down in the Caribbean a lot, they had heavy boards down there. And I used to go, on my knees a lot because I couldn't get up on those boards. But it's fun.
Was there ever a time where you were like surfing a lot, or no?
Yeah, when I was like 15, 16, all those years, probably until I finished the beach, and then I went into finished my college. So probably, let me say I graduated college in 1980. That was probably, so. Because you had time, you stay up with it and everything. So it's a lot of fun. I just enjoy getting out in the water, So I'm just trying to look for. I had another article here I wanted to talk about, but anyway, our season's coming up. I want to make a point, and we're going to recommend we're going to I think people should go on the internet and learn about rip currents but I think the biggest thing to take away here is with the hole and the swimming is don't go out there unsupervised, and certainly don't go in the water if there's no lifeguards. A lot of times the water looks very calm. Now this summer there was a tragedy. It was a fireman or ENT, I forget what he was, New York City. He came down. They were down in either Avon by the Sea, and it was early in the morning, like 8:30, and it wasn't a bad ocean, but they have jetties up there, and next to the jetties, the water runs really hard. It goes out. It runs out. And I can't explain, unless you want to pull something up real quick. But along a jetty, it's really bad. So this father and daughter went out. She was maybe 7, 8 years old, I forget. And it was calm ocean, because I remember we worked that day. I wasn't at Avon by the Sea. We were in Seaside Heights. And, maybe 2-foot swells. And she started to drown. She got in trouble. She couldn't get in. She's probably going to the rocks and going out. He went in and went to go save her. She got in. He drowned. And it was a tragedy. Mm-hmm. And I'm very sure they looked at the water, and he was a EMT and fireman, and he probably said this water's calm. But what he didn't realize is that the jetty was the culprit there, and so there's a lot of things like that you're not aware of, and you have to be very careful when there are big waves. That's a lot of people then stay out usually, but. I've seen people get hit by waves. Like I broke my collarbone, because I was bringing, on a 6-foot, swell that hit me. you have to be very careful. Even
I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to Rehoboth. I might have told this story before, but we used to go to Rehoboth Beach every summer. And one day, the house was a block from the beach. Beautiful, beautiful mansion of a house. Someone my grandfather worked for. He was an accountant for a publishing firm.
Right.
So we heard, like, there was a storm, and we heard that the waves at the beach were, like, really big. I must have been 7 or 8 years old. So my mom and, like, 5 of us kids go down to the beach, and we just get in the water.
Right.
And this must be, you know, nothing that you or I couldn't handle today, right? But 3-4 foot northeast. The one thing I remember is the water was, like, piss warm.
Right.
Really, really sloppy. We're splashing around. We get out, and we're looking around, and we're like, oh, my God, where's my cousin? We can't find her.
Right.
And then we look out, and she's, like,
in the shipping lanes,
20, 30 yards out there, just, like, waving, bottom bouncing. And I
don't mean to laugh,
I don't know how she didn't drown that day.
Yeah.
Because she actually just made it in on her own. I think, you know, I'm sure the surf just pushed her in.
Yeah.
You know, she wasn't necessarily, like, caught in a rip.
You know what probably happened is she might have drifted north or south out of the run and came in through the bar. Got pushed in with the waves. That happens a lot of times.
I mean, she was hurting. Like, it was scary.
A lot of times people get saved that way. They go out and the run goes north or south, and then they come over onto a bar and they get pushed in. Hey, let me make another point here, because there's 2 things I want to talk about. One is with Seaside Heights, they had the polar bear plunge last week. We didn't go to it, but I heard it was a record crowd. I want to say 7,000 or 8,000 people went in the water. They raised over $2.5 million in that area for Special Olympics, right? And you know, it was a really great thing. Nobody got in trouble. What I heard, nobody drowned or anything like that. They have a lot of security. The police are there. I mean, the fire department's there. They launch jet skis. They got people with wetsuits on and lifeguard cans and stuff like that. So having said
shout
that,
out to Nico.
I don't know if Nico was there, but
Seaside Heights water rescue team.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Bunch of studs.
Right. So it was very safe. They made a lot of money. And, you know, this is one thing about this country. People, you know, want to bitch, moan, and groan about this country, but we are the most charitable country in the world. And it's amazing how much in one day, that event, they were building up to it, but think about it, $2.5 million. That's amazing. Now, I want to make another thing for our young lifeguards here. You got spring break coming up, right? A lot of kids are still in college. And so spring break is a kind of rite of passage. But I want to throw out a couple things that there are some warnings now. I mean, the world is getting a little bit dangerous right now. And there's a lot of crime. There's a lot of people hurting for money, and the crime is starting to crank up.
There's been a bunch of break-ins in Seaside Park this week. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. Trust me.
Someone running around breaking into cars and houses.
Yeah. It's when, you know, and
I kind of said that like a Canadian.
No, but it's getting bad. And but there's a warning right now that came out for Bahamas. Bahamas is getting heated up. There was actually 2 women who alleged that they were drugged and raped by, I don't know, hotel staff or something, or locals. And but there is an advisory for Bahamas. There's an advisory for Jamaica. There's advisory for other places. What I would recommend, if you're going to go away on a spring break, or your kids are going to go away, go on to the government. I don't know if it's the CDC. It's a warning travel. I'm trying to think of the State Department, United States State Department. So go on to United States State Department, I guess, .org, and look for advisories. And they have different levels. But there's places where you don't want to go. And especially, what I've seen is with the girls. And unfortunately, in this world, there's a lot of people who prey on young women. And there was a situation where a friend of mine was telling me it was a woman, older woman, maybe in her 40s with her daughter, and that they went on a vacation together. And the daughter stayed at the bar, drinking and everything. Anyway, they kidnapped her. This is in Mexico, by the way. And then they call a hotel up. The mother's sleeping, has no idea this is going on. The girl is in the bar. They get her, whether or not whoever the people are. I don't know if it's cartels, whatever. And they call the hotel and say, listen, we got one of your people here. We want $5,000, or she's, her ears are going to be cut off or whatever. She's going to be raped, and they may even rape her. And on top of that, and they pay the money, or it's extortion, and it goes on and on and on. So you have to be really careful where you're at. I don't know, how many. I know Mexico is a lot of places that are trying to make it very safe. I have friends who go to Dominican Republic, and they think it's great. I was there not too long ago, so it's poor, but it has a lot to do with the country and the police and what they want. I think that there's a lot of countries that are going to try to put a kibosh on this crime. But you should. Is that you? You should. You should try to. What do you call it? Look at it. This is something good. So all spring breakers, we want you to be safe. Even in the United States, there's places where you got to be careful. There's a lot of homeless, different places in the country. You have to be aware. Situational awareness. I mean, look at the poor girl now. This is the big thing that's in the internet. The girl in Georgia who got killed. Running around the track. So this is we're gonna see more and more of this. But again, go on to the United States State Department and check it out, because a lot of people go the Bahamas, they go to Florida, they go different countries. I think that
actually,
I'm sorry.
Marissa's friend is getting married, and she had a bachelorette party planned for the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And they had to cancel it because of stuff like this.
Yeah.
They went to like a warning level red or something for.
Yeah. Well, now this thing with Grenada,
crazy,
this thing like Grenada, I mean, the government better do something, because, there's a lot of boaters going to say, I'm not going there. I tell you what, there's been rumors for a while about St. Vincent's, the crime that's been there. And, there's a lot of people who are staying away from there. And, those people, those countries depend on tourism. I tell you what, I go to Aruba, that place is safe as all hell. You go to Cayman Islands, same thing, Tortola. I mean, there's a lot of safe places, but there's other places I go, it's sketchy as all hell, man. You hear gunshots, I mean, I tell you
what is, the sketchiest place you've ever been?
Unfortunately, it's been some of the inner cities in the United States. Yeah. I don't want to say it. I mean, I hate to say it. You asked me the question, but Patterson, and back in the day, Newark. I mean, there's some places you don't want to be at night. Philadelphia. I went to school in Philly. It was kind of crazy during the crack cocaine wars. There's neighborhoods you didn't want to go to. It's really hard. There's different kind of crimes. But what I can tell you right now, when people are poor, think about it. Forget about your politics. You have millions and millions and millions of, I want to say illegal immigrants, but you have all these people coming into the country. By the government's statistics, 6 million to 10 million. Think about this. In the past 3 years, where are these people going to work? What are they going to do? Now,
let's hire them as lifeguards.
Yeah, but my point is that when they ain't making any money, and you don't put food on the table, what happens next? You start stealing bread. Not everybody.
The Seaside Heights Beach Patrol is now accepting applications.
You got to speak English, though.
Swim test date. No, we need Spanish speakers. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but they got to speak
English. I'm not even trying to be funny.
No. Bilingual.
I think.
I'll give you a good one. Listen to this. I tell you.
Did Gerardo speak Spanish?
Yeah, I think he did. But I'll tell you, it's interesting. You talk about all this immigration. I know you don't want to talk about this too much, but Arizona just petitioned a federal judge just told state Arizona, that they cannot take illegal immigrants, their definition, off the voter rolls. You cannot make a person prove that they're American citizen to vote.
Well, what's the point of that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of points to it, but I'm just telling you, it's federal government. So you can't. So illegals, basically, if they want to try to vote, you can't ask them for ID. That's a federal law. That's what I just read this morning, and they're going to appeal it. But that's Arizona,
that's convenient on an election year, isn't it?
Yeah. Let them. Listen, they're all going to vote for Joe. If I was coming from Venezuela, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. Shit, yeah, man. I'm getting all free stuff. Pull your mic like this, G. Pull your mic up. You got your mic jammed up. No, you got it jammed up onto the thing. See, you're crushing it.
I'm not crushing anything.
Yeah, you're crushing on the metal. I'm telling you.
What are you talking about? Oh, this.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Anyway, you indent it. It's going to hurt it. So anyway, that is interesting. So be careful where you go.
Is this better, boss?
Yeah, you hurt the thing. You know, every even in the United States, I don't know where the safe places are. I think what you do is I'm telling all these young people, you know, what happens is you get jammed up is you go out to a bar, you're drunk on your ass, you're taking drugs, whatever. Your wits are not about you, and you could become a victim.
You know what the safest place is?
There's no place like home.
On the beach
no,
this
Allison,
summer, Seaside
click
Heights.
your heels together. There's no place like home, right?
Come to Seaside if you want a safe swimming experience. We have the best in the business.
Yeah.
We're well trained. We're funny.
Yeah.
We know the water.
Yeah. I tell you what.
We pretend to be able to surf.
Right. No. I think
you'll see Catch with his hand plane.
No.
How's your shoulder? Are you gonna be back this summer?
No, it's getting there. But I want to make a point that all the beaches in New Jersey, all the lifeguard beaches are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, the volume that we see and the amount of, very rare that you have any drownings while lifeguards are on duty.
Oh,
very rare compared to the millions. No, all the beach patrols.
Well, I wanted to bring this up.
I mean, it happens. Don't get me wrong.
But we did our annual ski trip. It's funny that we call it a ski trip because we all snowboard. Mm-hmm. There's we did have 2 skiers. Shout out to Aiden Cole and AJ Lundberg.
Right.
The skiers of the group. But I was talking to Lundberg, and he's friends with a couple Belmar guards, and he was saying that he was like hanging out with him, and they asked him if, you know, like they knew about he knew about the podcast, and they said they listened to us on their stands in the summer, like a bunch of guards in Belmar. I think it's Belmar, but shout out to you guys, man. That's exactly why we do this. So that's cool news.
Yeah, I get a lot of people who call me. They listen to the podcast, and they where the heck was I? And I told him about it. He goes, "Oh, I listen to that all the time. That's you, you know." Where the heck was I?
I think
it was in Florida.
I think Belmar were. We can kind of like relate to them in spirit, you know. They probably have a similar kind of amount of action that we get compared to some of the other more like you know like the Lavalettes, the Seaside Parks, the Avon by the Seas, and that's
what's that? What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I'm saying Belmar probably has a more similar
crowd,
customer base, you could call, and amount of stuff to deal with as compared to some of the more local bitches.
Yeah, Atlantic City
beaches, Atlantic City, Point Pleasant,
you know,
Belmar.
State Parks has a
State Park. They get a lot. They get a lot of people bust in,
and the demographics are changing too. So you know, I think we're all it's different times have certain crowds that really are tough. And now State Park, they allow drinking. They have in the pavilion you could drink. Alcohol. And Seaside Heights, you got the boardwalk. There's how many 20 bars on the boardwalk. We don't allow drinking on the beach, but people come in the water. People are smoking pot. They're high. I mean, the pot today. There was this one girl. I just read the story. She was so stoned out of her mind. She was eating gummies like it was 80% THC. She stabbed her boyfriend 111 times. Stabbed the dog like 100 times. When they got her, she was stabbing herself. Anyway, they found her not guilty due to THC psychosis or some shit. Which
that happens.
That's
some people it breaks them.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if you want to kill somebody, so they get high on marijuana or booze. That's not an excuse. If you're intoxicated, you're still going to go to jail, because you could use that as an excuse. But the point is that, if you're going to go in the water and do this stuff, you shouldn't get that stupid, and especially in this day and age.
You said on Hancock Avenue, just north of the pier, on a Saturday.
What's that? Say it again.
You said on Hancock, just north of the pier on a Saturday.
Yeah.
The clouds.
Oh, the smoke, the pot. Yeah,
you smell weed all day.
Yeah, well, I heard somebody told me in January.
People set up like under the pier there. They'll put like their grill and their little tent. It's crazy. They have the what are the
hookahs?
No. The gel things that keep your food warm. They'll break those out. What are those called?
Yeah. Bunsen burners. They're little.
No, it's not a Bunsen burner.
No.
What are those things called? They have like the trays. With
yeah.
They break out the folding plastic tables. They set up camp over there on Hancock Ave. It's the best.
A retired cop just told me that they just reversed the marijuana law in New Jersey with regard to kids, and that you could now inform the parents. I have to look into that.
Good. You've been beating that drum for like 2 years now.
Yeah. So I don't know. Supposedly that's what he told me. I don't know how true it is. But, until last summer, we couldn't tell a kid 15, 17, 16, if he's smoking on the boardwalk or the beach, we couldn't stop him. That's pot, by the way. So I don't know what the story is right now. So I hear that maybe they're going to be able to enforce that. Because, the thing with smoking on the beach, you're not allowed to smoke cigarettes on the beach because it's hazardous to other people. Marijuana is the same thing, and it stinks. It smells. It's a really nasty odor, and we some days the place reeks so bad. And why?
Smells like skunk.
It's not. I should not be suggested to what's going on here. I should not be suggested to subjected. I should say. Your Instagram streamed out. I should not.
What did we just show on Instagram that?
I don't know. Just get rid of it just today. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It says Facebook too. What did we put?
It said the audio by Sony. We haven't shared any audio.
No. Who knows? This could be. But getting back to with the marijuana thing, it stinks. And if you're working on a beach as a lifeguard, we don't have a union, but we should not be subjected to that. Or the police, or the beach control, all of us. It's just the same argument in the at casinos, because people smoke cigarettes, and the dealers were getting exposed to secondhand cigarette smoke, which we know causes cancer. It's not right, So why is marijuana any different? I think that the laws now are maybe catching up with the reality. Also, in New Jersey, they're trying to pass a law where, like, if you get in a wreck, a car accident, somebody's killed, and you got alcohol on board, they could take blood, force you to have blood taken. Now they want to do it for marijuana, or if there's, if you don't have alcohol on board, but they think you're high on other drugs, they're going to take your blood. They get a, what do you call it, a subpoena, and they'll take you to the hospital, and they'll have 9 people hold you down. They'll take blood from you. You could you could refuse to take a breathalyzer, and then you'll get hit with drunk driving. But if there's a homicide, they're going to drag your ass to the hospital or the police department, and somebody's going to come in and they're going to draw your blood. So anyway, listen, be careful. Spring break. We'll have another show hopefully next week. What did you want to say to anything to add? Because I think we're going to pack this in.
Like, follow, subscribe. I have a new segment I want to talk to you about after we wrap here, actually. And watch this video of me being a ballerina underwater.
Is everybody doing okay?
All right, we're going out. Anyone, listen, thank you for watching.
Look at that.
Wow, look at
Look
that.
at the elegance.
Wow. Look at
Beautiful,
that.
right?
Yeah, I would rather see a 22-year-old girl in a bikini bathing suit. I don't know who wants to see that. Anyway, listen.
Look at that, hang loose, baby. We got one more.
Oh, you gonna show one more?
Yeah,
All
look at this fish here.
All right, let's take a look.
Look, I was free diving all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. And this has been Lifeguarding Off Duty with Dr. Michael Katchmar. Let's finish it up,
And Tyler.
All right, and Tyler. Tyler, say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right, let's close the show.